Welcome to day 8 of the 60 days Excel Mastery Challenge. We will be looking at how to add data validation for error-free data entry in Microsoft Excel. All right, then. So let us start with validating our email column, okay? So we want to validate this B2 cell. So we will click on the cell, right? Then head on to data. Then on our data tools group, we'll click on data validation, then click the drop down on allow and select custom. Once we select custom, I've written the formula on a notepad here where I did some explanation. So we have 3 parts to this formula, right? The first part here checks for @ in our email. The second part checks for the presence of the full stop, the period in our email. The third part ensures that we do not have a space, right? So you ensure that you change the cell address. We are using B2 cell. That is why we have B2 here. So ensure that you change the cell address, okay? Now, this AND ensures that these 2 conditions must be met for the email to be correct, while the NOT here ensures that there is nothing like space between the emails, okay? Let's copy the formula and then go to the formula area here and paste it. So once we paste it, we go ahead and click OK. We now go ahead to test if our validation has been applied appropriately. So let's test for the correct email first. So let's say this email is adeyemi@gmail, for instance, .com. Okay, so we see this email is correct, right? Because it has the presence of @ and the dots, right? So it's correct. So if we had removed the full stop, and you see now that it said the value doesn't match the data validation restriction designed for this cell. So you can see it doesn't allow that, okay? So if we click on retry, it gives us the opportunity to fix the dot back. And when we do, that is fine. If we had the dot and the @ present, but we have space while imputing the email, let's see what happens. You see, this value doesn't match the data validation restriction because we said we don't want anything like space between the emails. Okay, so let us correct that. So now you see it's in its correct format. So let's apply validation for dates. Okay, so we will highlight the area where we want to apply our validation for dates. We'll click on data to access data validation under our data tools. Click on data validation. Under any value, let's click the drop down, right? And select date. If we select date, we have several options. We have dates between, we have dates not between, we have dates equal to, we have dates not equal to, we have dates greater than, we have dates less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. So you can select any while doing your practice, okay? So let's say date greater than, okay? So we have a start date. We want to enter a start date. Let's go ahead and enter the start date based on an acceptable format, okay? So let's say we want a date greater than 30th of January. So we will say January /30th, right? Then /2025. Once this is done, we can say okay. So let's say we want to test it now to impute a date. Let's say we do January 20th, 2025. Let's see what happens. You see, this value doesn't match the data validation, right? Let's retry and change this first to February and see. You see, it accepted it. And that is how we can go across. So if we are done between, so the validation will be implemented. So let us do the phone number validation. For the phone number validation, we will first start with the formatting. So if you do 01, you'll find out that in Excel, 0 is not taken as a number. So we have to ensure that, number starts from 0, 8, right? So we have to ensure that our numbers can have zeros, okay, before the phone numbers. So to do that, we will highlight where we want to apply the formatting. We will go to our home tab, right? Then under numbers group, let's click on more to have more options. Then click on custom. On custom now, we know that phone numbers have 11 digits, right? So we can just say 11, just have like 11 zeros, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So then go ahead and click OK. So we can now say 08100895523, for instance. So you see now we have the 0 starting. We have achieved the first formatting. So let's go to the validation point now. For the validation point, I will highlight the column. I'll go to Data tab and Data Validation. Click on drop down, select Custom, right? Then on the formula area, I want to determine the length of our entry. And phone numbers without the 0 will be 10 digits, okay? So I have the formula here already where I say, it will say equals to length for length, right? See there? So equals to length for length, and we want 10 digits. So since we are applying it to the D column, we can as well just change the cell address to D2. So let's copy this and then put it in our formula area here. So once we do that, let's enter this and see. Let's enter the phone number and see. So I enter the same phone number, 08. Okay. If you enter the phone number now, is correct. So if you enter an additional number, it tells you this value doesn't match the data validation restriction. Okay. That tells us that our validation have worked. Thank you for watching. Do well to subscribe to our channel.